to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm Alicia Haygood. When I started podcasting and really getting involved in the Scottsdale community, one person asked me, what's going to be your purpose and passion when you really start growing in Scottsdale? And my answer was, well, I just want to meet people. I just want to connect people. They're like, no. What's going to be your passion, your purpose? What cause do you want to bring awareness to? I honestly never saw myself in life having a cause to care about because I care about a lot of things and I'm all over the place once you get to know me. But I really started focusing unintentionally on the mental health aspect of life. And it really started with my own mental health of like just checking in with myself. A lot of this happened during COVID for many of us when we were isolated and secluded and stuck with our little family inside these four walls for a very long time. And I just felt like I wasn't healthy. I wasn't giving my best self. That's when I turned and realized, all right, my purpose and passion is going to be mental health. It's going to be open and honest conversation. It's going to be awareness, and it's not going to be something taboo. I'll probably cry today because I am passionate about it. But that passion is a purpose for us to open communication, for us to talk, and it's so incredibly important to check in with yourself first and foremost and check in with your family and friends. So I'm really excited to bring to you today Beth Brady. She's from Solari here in town. It is a crisis call center. We're going to get into that. But really take the time to listen and learn and check in with yourself. Listen to this episode. How are you today? Because if you are not doing well today, you can get better. You can be better tomorrow. You can be better later today, in fact. There's time to grow, there's time to work, and there's time to really believe in yourself. So I'm excited to bring this, and we're going to talk about the gala coming up that they're going to raise money and awareness for here in Scottsdale and all the great things that they're bringing to the community. So I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have Beth Brady of Solari at the table with me. When it comes to protecting you, your family, and all your assets, you need to have someone that you can trust, and that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy Mueller has lived in Scottsdale his whole life. How can anyone else know your needs more than someone who's been here and seen it all? Jeremy and his team are always ranked in the top % at State Farm. He cares, he's knowledgeable, and most importantly, he's always available. Don't believe me? Give him a call at 480-515-5223 or find him at jeremymueller.com. When we talk about whole health, it really starts from the inside out. The stats are terrifying when it comes to suicide and our mental health here in this country, and especially for our kids and our teenagers right now. Solari is a local nonprofit who takes those calls to help people in need. They are the largest crisis call center in the USA. That is terrifying, yet grateful that we have them. So here to talk about Solari and how we can take care of our mental health is Chief Branding and Development Officer Beth Brady. Beth, I know if we cry, we'll cry together. It'll be good. I cry because these are, to me, they're really honestly happy tears that like we can have this conversation. I don't think we could have talked about this 10, 15 years ago. It would have been hush hush. It would have been like definitely not on a podcast about our mental health and awareness. And I don't think we would have even been able to talk about Solari as a whole because people like, I don't know, that doesn't affect me. When in reality, it does. And in reality, we need it to affect us to help support each other. So you started off as a social worker. You definitely have that caring, loving, big heart gene. Talk about your path to finding mental health and really your path to working at Solari.
Sure. So when I was an undergrad, like a lot of kids, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I was trying to decide between counseling or interior design. So completely.
I don't know. You know what? Some good feng shui interior design can really change your mental health. So that's okay.
And so I was like, people are always telling me everything. They're always sharing their problems, people that I don't even know very well. It seems like I must just attract that. And I know that people are always going to need help. I don't know that I have what it takes to, be creative on a timeline. So I'm going to take this path. And so I went on to get, my master's degree in counseling and just started working in the field. So, and I'm originally from Minnesota, but I finished my degree here in Arizona and started working in and around Phoenix at nonprofits. I worked at an outpatient mental health clinic for individuals diagnosed with serious mental illness. And after that, I moved on to our crisis line and started taking crisis calls.
That's a tough job.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I'll tell you, I'd been in the field for a few years before starting on the crisis line. And I was in the training class and I'm thinking, oh, this job's going to be a piece of cake. It's in a call center. I've been driving people all around the valley and going to a doctor. This is going to be easy. And I went through the training class and we listened to a few of the calls. And
Like the training phone calls, yeah.
Well, no, they're real calls.
Right, but this is during, okay.
But during training. And I quite honestly thought, holy shit, am I going to be able to do this?
Right.
Someone's life could be on the line and I'm the only one, there to help support them, to give them hope for the future. This is a lot bigger than I thought it was. And I really wrestled with that. I became pretty nervous about this new job that I thought was going to be easy.
You didn't think you could handle it?
I wasn't sure if I could. I wasn't sure.
Did you want to?
I did.
Okay.
I was up for the challenge, but I was afraid that what if I said the wrong thing? And, what if I wasn't able to provide hope to someone who didn't see any hope for the future?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough pill to swallow.
It was. But luckily, I found out that I had quite the knack for it. And there's really nothing more rewarding than being able to help someone see that things can get better. And even though it feels like all hope is lost, things can turn around. And it might not be today or tomorrow and maybe not even next month. Yeah. But if you hold on, things can change.
Have you struggled with mental health yourself in the past, growing up as an adult? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in college, not long after I was deciding my degrees, I experienced depression. And at that time, it was, gosh, I don't even want to say how long ago it was. Right. But it was probably 15 years ago. And so I immediately, without even knowing it, had the stigma affect me because I'm thinking like, I'm depressed. I don't want to go to class. I'm crying and I have no reason for it. But, I just need to snap out of it.
Right.
And just pull myself out
I've been there. Felt the same way.
And after it had gone on for a while, I thought, maybe I should talk to, the campus counselor. And so I did that and immediately told her, I don't want any medication or anything like that. Like, that's not for me. Again, stigma in my mind was like, people don't do that.
Right.
So long story short, after some counseling that helped, but didn't take the depression away, I ended up taking antidepressants for a period of time until I was feeling better and, stabilized without them. But that really taught me a lesson. And someone along the way told me, if you broke your leg and you went to the doctor and they suggested painkillers, would you take them? Like, you wouldn't bat an eye.
It's just same question, different disease, different illness, not a disease, different illness. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It is the same thing. Yeah.
So, and
you work through that. I think that having that experience of that relatability goes back to what you said just a few minutes ago is I can help people. That when someone feels relatable, when they feel like they have a sense of that community, they'll listen to you more. So these call centers. So how was working on that crisis line?
So it's working on the crisis line was a wild ride, I'll say, because it's not there. The calls are not all folks who are at the end of their rope.
Okay.
Right. Some folks are calling to say, I'm going through divorce. I'm having a hard time. I don't know where to go from here. Some people are calling saying, I've been using drugs and I think I'm finally ready to detox and find a recovery center. And so it would just be making those referrals, helping people connect to resources. And that felt a little bit more transactional, that people were kind of in control of where they were at. They knew where they wanted to go. So we were just that catalyst to help them get there.
Okay. That probably helped your mind shift of like, okay, I'm not saving everyone's last life here kind of thing.
Right. So when you would get those calls, you would know right away, okay, I really need to have, this is my full attention. This person is really, they're looking to me to give them a reason to go on. And so that's when you would really put your heart and soul into it, obviously, and try to help them see that even though it doesn't feel like it, things can change.
Yeah. Solari is the largest call center in the United States. That, to me, as I said in the introduction, is really terrifying. At the same time, I'm so incredibly grateful that you are around to help that many people. So because it is a national line that anyone can can call. Talk about what Solari is. Let's talk about who is Solari and what do y'all do besides just the call crisis line?
Yeah, so actually I want to talk a little bit about, so 988 is the national number.
Correct.
Here in Arizona, we've had a really robust crisis system for many years. I'd say close to 20 years. And Solari's been around for 16. And we had a crisis line here, and we now have a statewide crisis line separate from 988. And our state really said,
what is that number?
It's 1-844-534-HOPE.
Okay. We'll have all of that in the description of this episode too. Yeah.
Okay, great. And the reason for that, even though obviously 988 is easier to remember, the state said, we have worked so hard to provide, these great services that are accessible within less than 10 seconds. You're talking to a real person on the crisis line. We have no control over the 988 platform. Should something go down, should, there be something amiss with that, we want to make sure that Arizonans have somewhere that they can call.
Yeah.
And so that number has remained. And I was just looking at the data from last year. We took just under 500,000 crisis calls in Arizona last year.
My eyes are huge right now. 500,000 calls just in the state of Arizona last year.
Just in the state of Arizona. And that was a huge increase. I think a lot of that has to do with awareness, conversations like this, and also the launch of 988 has been well over a year now, so that messaging is getting out. And to your point, it's terrifying that we're the largest, and I want to clarify, we're the largest by volume, by the number of calls that we get, we're the largest. But it's also inspiring to me because it means we must be doing something right here in Arizona that people feel comfortable to reach out and they're using the services more than ever before.
Oh, that's what I was saying. It's like, it's terrifying, but thank goodness it's around. I love hearing that you said that. And I think that's why some of the numbers have gone up so much more. It's not necessarily so much that the problems are new. They are. Our teenagers are going through a lot right now and our youth. But it is the accessibility to help that has increased, that now we are able to talk about it. We are able to have more resources to help us and to help our family members and stuff. So when someone calls into Solari, they're not going to get you anymore, but they have some amazing call center, operators. What does that process look like? So some people that might be listening don't get fearful and they can call because they know what to expect, kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you call the crisis line, you'll talk to a real person within 10 seconds, and they'll just gather first some demographic information, like what's your name, your phone number, should we get disconnected? And then they'll want to know what led you to call us today. So they want to know what's the straw that broke the camel's back that finally led you to call. And once they find that out, they're just going to ask more questions. So if it's, I've been, feeling depressed, they're going to ask, how long has it been? Have you talked to anyone about this? And after doing an assessment, then they'll try to help you determine what the next steps are, whether that's calling for a therapy session, whether that's inpatient treatment, detox facility, or if it's just that after talking it out, you feel a huge relief. Yeah. And that there's no connection that needs to be made. It's just that support. Is it almost, for someone specific to that where, their life may not be in danger, but they're not feeling themselves, is it almost like talking to a therapist on the phone for those few minutes or however long and you're like feeling better? Like when you say that? So the operations team will kill me if I say it's like talking to a therapist.
That's my lingo, operators. You're very good at your job.
But because we are really that in between that crisis where it should be very brief connection. Okay. A lot of people think therapy, it's like, oh, great, this is my opportunity to talk for an hour to someone on the phone.
That's what I was wondering. Like, no.
Yeah, our average call length is just under 10 minutes.
Okay.
So it's enough time for someone to feel supported, validated, get the information they need to take the next step. But we're not the ongoing therapy for a person, so we'd rather connect them to someone who is.
So I can't call you a couple times like, I really liked talking to Beth last week. Can you please transfer me back to her?
No, unfortunately you can't.
You are a resource is what Solari is at the end of the day. And you're the starting point of help for resources. Talk about your connections here in the Valley and the community of when someone calls you and you get that initial intake of what they're feeling, how they're feeling, what stage of, they're in their mental health. you can give them the next steps. What are some of those next steps that are available to the Valley?
Sure. Honestly, we have a resource database for the Valley, and it has over 35,000 resources in it. So I could, name drop a few, but I'd be missing so many. But some of the types of services we connect folks to, could be detox facilities, outpatient to substance use treatment, therapists, intensive outpatient groups.
Dude, like everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And quite honestly, we're focused on mental health and suicide prevention on the crisis line. But if someone calls and says, I'm running out of food and I don't know where to go, we're going to help the person find that as well. If someone says, I'm facing eviction and I need a shelter, we're going to help with that as well.
But that is mental health. So it's not like they're not calling you for that mental health crisis. That's what they're feeling. They're freaking out. They don't know where their next meal, their next place they're going to lay their head. I mean, that would really mess with someone mentally in that sense. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And if your basic needs aren't met, you certainly can't focus on your mental health, right? If you don't have a roof over your head or food in your cabinet, it's going to be hard to focus on feeling mentally well.
Yeah. Once you have connected with all these people in the Valley and these resources and stuff like that, you work very closely with these other facilities here in town, the outpatient, the inpatient, the rehab centers and stuff like that. You are a nonprofit, so you do these fundraisers, you connect with the community and stuff like that. You had your first gala last year, was huge success. I think it even surprised you. You told me at one point. That, to me, Beth, shows what this community is about, though, right? Like, we really do come together for one another. I loved how successful it was last year for you guys, especially because it's mental health and people are afraid to show up for that kind of stuff. Let's talk about this, because we're going into now it's annual. It's not the inaugural, it's the annual gala now. It's coming up on February 24th. It is open to the community.
Yep.
Tell me about it. What are we going to see? Entertainment. You, of course. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I feel like all the jitters of the first year are, we left those in the dust. So I'm really excited. We're headed back to the Phoencian, and we have just an amazing meal and a program planned. So we're also going to have Urban Electra. They will be playing the violin at happy hour. We have a lot of different photo ops. So we know everyone is going to be dressed, to the nines, ready to get their picture taken. So we've got multiple photographers and different opportunities for that. And then after the program, we're going to dance the night away. And really, it's all to raise money so we can help more people. I mentioned we took 500,000 crisis calls last year. We're lucky to be funded really well through state and federal partnerships. However, the need is growing every single day.
Yeah, it is.
And so the gala really helps us reach more people and be available faster to anyone in need.
Let's talk about that, because everyone wants to know where their money's going, especially when we're just donating it. Where is it going? How are you going to plan to use it?
So we have a few different programs at Solari. I've talked mostly about the crisis line and 988 because that is really the heart of our business. Mm-hmm. That's where we got our start back in 2007. Since then, we've grown to provide some other services. Most of them are telephonic support. So we offer a domestic violence hotline, helping victims either make a plan for safety, find shelter. We offer the housing crisis line, which either helps people stay in their home, find shelter if they need it, or prevent evictions. And some people may be familiar with 211, information and referral. And that's really helping people get information they need to meet basic needs. So the food boxes, utility assistance, health insurance, things like that.
Planning for the future, because everything's growing and problems are not going to go away overnight, because they don't come overnight either. So it's open to the public. I'm going to have the link for tickets where you can go buy yours today. So don't be shy. It is a big event. I mean, y'all sold out last year, didn't you?
We did. Yes. We're hoping to sell it this year. We've got a little ways to go. But we expect to have about 500 people. We have about 15 sponsors right now. So we're really excited, and things are definitely picking up now that we're less than a month out.
I think for everyone out there, to me, this is like where the future is. It's a part of the growing. And if you have your name, your business name, or your name just to attend, it shows that you care to me. It shows that you're ready to listen and act and check in with yourself and your community. As you know, I kind of talked about earlier. I highly encourage you to go support it. And if anything, just find out more. Their website will be in the description of this episode at solari-inc.org. Learn more about them. And really, they're just an amazing organization. I love that you were here to help someone. So before we leave and before everyone stops listening to go buy their tickets to the gala on February 24th, Beth, what is your favorite Scottsdale vibe? What's your favorite thing about Scottsdale?
I was reminded of it today on the way to the studio because I don't live far from it, but I don't come to Old Town a lot because it's always so busy.
Yeah.
But every time you do, it's just the vibe is just excitement. There's so many tourists that come that are like, we're in Scottsdale. And they're just walking around with these big smiles on their face. And it just, even though we live here, it makes you kind of feel like, oh yeah, we really live in just a beautiful place. And there's so many awesome attractions and food and shops, here. I think it's wonderful. So I think just the energy of Scottsdale is great.
I love that. This is one of my favorite questions because I get so many, most people say food, right? The food scene is great here, but I get so many different answers. I love it because to me, it teaches us when you see something or you're in something every day, you have your blinders on, right? So it's like when you see, like you said, those tourists come in and you see their excitement, you can kind of stop and see what they're looking at and be like, oh my gosh, this is fun. This is a new excitement that I would have just walked right past or not looked up or look over or something like that. But that too is how we should treat our people and yourself. Look in the mirror and ask how you're doing, I'm very open about my going to therapy and taking care of my health and being open and honest about it because I don't want it to be taboo. I want it to be easy. I am great. I've always been great, but there's those check-ins and those bad days. That's completely normal. It's when they start adding up and you feel like you can't dig out of the hole that, call Solari, Carl 988. There is help out there, and do not feel like you have to have all the money in the world to get the help. There are plenty of free resources out there for your help.
And that's I'm glad you brought that up because 988 and the statewide crisis line, those services are completely free and confidential. Mm-hmm. Should you need a mobile crisis team to come out to you, that is absolutely free and confidential. And I think that, that can be another barrier for people reaching out. So know that those services are free.
Thank you to Solari. Thank you to your whole team out there, everyone that picks up the phone and behind the scenes as well. And don't forget to check in with yourself because you too can have a bad day, but that doesn't mean anything's wrong. Stay tuned. When we get back, we'll have the calendar of events. But before you listen to that, don't forget to go buy your ticket to the Solari Gala happening on February 24th at the Phoencian. There's still sponsorship opportunities for you as well as individual tickets. Thank you, Beth, for joining me today.
Thank you.
When it comes to protecting you, your family, and all your assets, you need to have someone that you can trust, and that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy Mueller has lived in Scottsdale his whole life. How can anyone else know your needs more than someone who's been here and seen it all? Jeremy and his team are always ranked in the top % at State Farm. He cares, he's knowledgeable, and most importantly, he's always available. Don't believe me? Give him a call at 480-515-5223 or find him at jeremymueller.com. Well, as you just heard Beth from Solari, get ready for the gala. There are still individual tickets available. I really think this is something we all really need to take seriously and support the cause of mental health and help our kids and help ourselves most importantly. So go click the link in the description of this episode to find out more and how you can get tickets for this Saturday. And I will be there, so come hang out with me and dance. I would love to meet you. Also, the Arabian Horse Show is still going on. We went this past Saturday with my family. The kids have the best time. Kids are free all week. Adults are starting at $15 a day. So go and enjoy that. Support all the local events going on around here because it just helps everyone. And why don't you want to just go have fun and see some beautiful horses? Again, you do not have to be a fan or a rider to enjoy the Arabian Horse Show. All right, it's officially here. I don't know about you, but I know that spring has officially started when I hear the crack of a bat, some bags of peanuts open, and those beautiful blue skies above us. That's right, spring training starts this week. So whether you think the crowds are leaving from Barrett-Jackson Waste Management Open and the Arabian Horse Show leaving, think again, because now it's going to be happening all around the valley. Go to thecactusleague.com and get your tickets to all the events and games around town. Whether your teams are anywhere in the West Coast, they will be here for the next month. So here's a great opportunity to see them up close and personal. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss another episode each week. You can also find the video episode of this on our YouTube channel, Scottsdale Vibes Podcast, as well as all of our social media channels on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We will see you next week. Have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.